Welcome back to New Frontier. I'm BP, and this is the Homestead Challenge. Welcome to day 2 of September, guys. We spent a lot of time worrying about the fields last episode, and it ended up raining yesterday afternoon, so we couldn't harvest anyways. But today, we have a good day. We'll take a quick look at the forecast. We don't have rain until 11 o'clock tonight with a sunny afternoon. We're harvesting. That's our plan for today. We're not going to worry about the moisture. We're just going to get it done. But before we do that, just real quick, I want to show you guys we had a really fun update overnight. We have lambs, guys. They were born. We have a Steinschaft lamb. We have 2 black-brown mountain lambs and a black-brown mountain ram lamb that was born today. So 4 new sheep on the farm. Exciting stuff. We have 7 more babies on the way. So that is very, very exciting. So, make sure they have enough food. Yep, they're doing good. I guess we could give them the rest of that grass bale we tucked in here to keep it out of the rain. So let's go ahead and grab this. Oh, there we go, already in. All right, that bumps them up to 2,000 out of 3,000. Water, they're still doing good on. Okay, so we're getting right to harvest. We'll probably do the grass tomorrow in our 3rd day of September, but we're getting right into the wheat harvest. So first and foremost, let's get this turned on. Let's get it unfolded. Very, very cool animation. And we should have, I believe, straw swath should be on. Lower it, turn it on. And guys, we're harvesting wheat for the first time on the homestead. Now, if I remember correctly, this hand harvester has a 1,500 liter capacity. So we'll have to see what that equates to in regards to like passes around the field. I imagine a field this size, we get, 15 to 20,000 liters off of it, maybe. But, hand harvesting and realistic weather with the moisture, not exactly sure, how all that's going to turn out. We have 200, almost 250 liters heading around the top of the field. So, maybe get around 500 our first headland, which wouldn't be too bad. We are leaving a straw swath, which is nice. We'll have to come bale and pick that up. Now, we're going to have more bale problems because we're going to have to find a place to store the bales to get them out of the weather. So let's head around and get our first headland done, and let's check out and see sort of what that did for the field and where we ended up so we can make a bit of a plan, because we have to figure out where to store our wheat, because I can't imagine that it is the right time to sell it, though we could do something with the wheat too. So, all right, rounding the first corner. All right, let's jump off here. All right, so the moisture level, we're still a little high, 19, 25. Had a good spot back there, 15. Yeah, so the moisture is still really high, but we're still getting 160, 180. There's 200, and we got a great spot here, 14.42. This is a great area right here in the middle of the field. Look at that. That's going to be nice. Yeah, we're in the 20s, so not a big deal. You can see our straw swath here on the ground. We'll definitely be using the windrower to get that collected up. So let's keep going and just see what we get out of this. I have a couple of thoughts. So I was looking at this overnight, and the auger pipe is actually just a hatch here at the back. I'll show you guys. You can look down by my feet. That's the pipe, and that's where it empties. So we don't really have any height to get this like into our Rudolph trailer or anything like that. So I was debating we could get a like a belt or an auger to dump it into. I think that would work and get it up into the trailer. We only have $11,000, so that's maybe going to be tough financially. The other option is we can put a silo down as long as it has, a ground dump, which I think, basically every silo does. So it won't be much of a challenge. But again, we have $11,000. So I know I downloaded a silo at the beginning of the gameplay, something that I felt like might fit well. We'll have to go in and take a look. I don't know. I want to say it was like $10,000 to $15,000. Like a little sort of wilderness shed silo type thing. And if that will work, then maybe that's the route to go. And just get all this wheat in there, because we don't want to sell it, if that's what we're going to do, prematurely and lose any money on it. So we'll have to see. I wonder, let's just pause here for a second. Let's take a look at wheat and see when wheat is typically the best to sell. So wheat, we are in September, which is close to the worst month. Not the worst, but it's not going to be good until January. Current price 307, top price 408. So yeah, we're going to have to store this wheat somewhere. So we'll have to take a look and figure that out. Let's get this thing filled up, and then we can make a plan on what we want to do from there. But so far, this little harvester, I mean, it's working well. We didn't expect it to have a huge working width, and it doesn't, and that's fine. But it's laying a straw swath, it's harvesting, it's moving at, a reasonable speed for a hand cart. Quite frankly, 5 miles an hour pushing something would be really fast in real life, so not too shabby. I feel like we're making good progress. This was an absolutely huge field when we put it in. It was, as I said, I got excited because we did the grass field and it went well with all the hand tools. And I popped down here to do this one and very quickly realized that it was getting big and out of control. So we almost made 3 headlands. Okay, so I'm going to back up here, head back this way, and let's take a look at that silo and see if that's an option, because I don't think an auger would be good. I didn't say it'd be good. It wouldn't be useful to us long term. I don't know that I'm going to be doing a lot of things on the homestead that require an auger. So putting that money into that piece of equipment doesn't make a lot of sense. So I was thinking, because we've been clearing the trees out up here, and guys, I got a great suggestion from one of you guys, one of the viewers, about maybe doing some deadwood tree contracts, which could be a good way to get some wood for our mill and also not be cutting down all of our trees. Maybe we'll do that as well. But we have been clearing out this area. So let's come down here. Got this is a village pack for hay. Yeah, these are more hay. Okay, here we go. Oh, $10,000. This is looking good. As a 25,000 liter capacity. That is great news. So I'm thinking we sort of cleared this area out here. Do I want it close to the grass field or further out? I'm thinking sort of further out, give us room to get between the grass field and the trees to get to the sawmill. So we come here. Yeah, I think that's going to be about it. So let's go ahead and hit that with a soften real quick and just make sure that we don't have any edges. Let's grab some gravel and just finish our path out there. All right, cool. There it is, guys. Our new shed silo. This thing is nice. All right, so we come in here. I imagine we need to be somewhat by this auger. Let's open. I want to see if we get a good angle. Open our chute. Wow, that emptied fast. Okay. And our silo shows 1,500 liters of wheat. Cool. This worked out really well, guys. It worked out better than I expected. plans are coming together. So let's get back out here and continue with the harvest. I'm going to put this on a time lapse for you guys because I think I'll be here for 20 or 30 minutes going around getting the wheat harvested. But I'll bring you back if anything interesting happens. Otherwise, I will plan on seeing you guys at the end. That's a wrap on the wheat harvest. Let's get the last little bit unloaded here. See what we ended up with. I think we're going to leave the harvester right here in the silo. I don't see any reason to move it. So we ended up with 5,486 liters. Guys, that's a lot less than I expected. And I don't know if that's just because I was using such a small machine and it felt like the field was going to be huge or not, but that's not a ton. I did run a test off screen and grabbed a regular harvester and harvested the field and got 5,428 liters, so actually 50 liters less. So there's no crop loss using the push harvester, which is really good news. So I think now the key is going to be to go around and grab all this straw and get it off the field before we get any more rain. And I don't have any idea what we're going to do with all of this straw once we have it, because that shed is probably not big enough for all of that stuff. So let's see what we get here. All right, so I'm going to go around and grab all the straw and get it baled up. I just did a time lapse, so I think this one, well, we haven't done straw yet. I'll keep this one on a time lapse. I won't do the baling. I'll bring you guys back in when we have all of the straw up and we have a count on how much we got and maybe even a plan on what we're going to do with it. So I did notice, you guys see this? I just want to make sure you saw this before you left. See how it's wet here? So we do have some field flooding in this area. Not sure what that does to harvest or anything else, but the field did flood in that back corner. So anyways, I'll bring you guys back when we have some bales to collect. See you soon. Coming around for our last pass with the baler, guys. Let's see how we did. I did reset the bale counter. 33 bales so far. I bet we get to at least 34. Might even get to 35. We'll have to see. Going to be close on this last one. So 34 out. And, yep, there we go. We're going to get 35 out of it. So not too shabby. That is a nice set of straw bales we picked up for the homestead there. You guys can hear all that water underneath my feet in that back corner of the field. I am intrigued to see, number one, if we have water in the grass field, because that's where I noticed it the first time. And then number two, I wonder if we can collect that water and use it in our greenhouse and to water our sheep. So, just wondering if maybe it's using the same fill plane as like a rice paddy, which, you know, many of you know is the sort of little mini hack for getting water on your farm if you don't want to put a pump in, and just put a little rice field in and go from there. So, jumping out of here, let's go check on this corner of the grass field. It's dry. That was our little spring over here that we put in to catch it all. So the flood spots do move around. They're over here. So let's grab the John Deere and the tanker, and let's head over and just a little experiment, a little bit of fun, see if we can collect any of that water. So my thoughts, and sort of had some time to reflect on the hand harvest. Really another great tool in the pack. I'm sort of no longer surprised that everything is working really well. The working width seems to be wider than advertised. Not massively wider, but it's definitely cutting past the outside of the front wheels, or the wheels on it. So, all right, so we get the tanker in the water. Clearly, oh, guys, look at this. We can get water off of our field. I wonder how much there is. Okay, so there's 3,000. I mean, do we think the water is like a finite amount, or do we think it's just that area is wet? Okay, so we could get it off the grass there too. You see we just got a little splash on the tire. So let's make a couple of runs back and forth to the greenhouse. Doesn't hurt anything to have the greenhouse topped off. And let's see what we can do. But anyways, back to my thoughts on the hand harvester. Worked really well. The working width, as I said, definitely seems to be wider than advertised, which is nice because it's a little hard in the actual crop to see, and you don't get a big perspective because it's not a big vehicle, so it's not like a full-size harvester where you're going to zoom way out. Capacity worked well. Emptying worked well. I mean, overall, guys, just another nice mod. Yeah, here we go. Trying to see if the water plane is going down as we're taking this water off the field. So far, doesn't seem like it. I don't know that we'll take more than 3 or 4 trips. I don't want to be doing this the whole rest of the episode. But hey, if we got water close to the homestead, I think that's, you know, when the land gives, you take what you can get, because so often we're fighting it. And guys, it has been foggy for 2 days here. So thinking that our harvest season may end up being pretty foggy in general. So what are we going to do with these bales? I don't want to leave them on the field, obviously, because we need to do some mulching and some field prep. I also don't want them to get deteriorated from the inevitable rain. I think we have more rain in the forecast tomorrow. So I'm thinking maybe for today, we put them on the truck and then just put the truck in the shed. And that'll guarantee that they are taken care of through tomorrow in case it rains overnight, because looking at the forecast here, you know, we have rain at 11 p.m. so they need to be in cover of some kind before the end of the day here. Did we make that turn? We sure did. 2 times in a row without hitting that tree. I don't know that our water level's going down, so maybe we'll do one more tanker trip and go from there. But that's a cool little feature of realistic weather with the flooded fields, is you can use that to get water for your farm. We'll do one more and we'll make sure to top off the sheep pen before we head over here to the greenhouse. So once we have the straw bales in the shed, I think that'll probably be about it for this episode. We'll start our 3rd day of September with the grass cutting for sure. Could even technically do a 2nd episode today and get that done, I guess. But I'd like to move on to tomorrow and see if we can get rid of some of this fog. Yeah, I just don't see that water level going down. Oh, maybe? No. I don't think the water level goes down, so I think it's flooded regardless. So, but hey, it's a super cool, easy, fast way to get some water. So, pro tip here for you guys. If you're playing with realistic weather and you have some flooding, grab your tanker and take as much water as you need. Maybe one of you guys will do some testing and tell me there is a finite amount of water in that puddle. But for right now, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a spring in the ground, and we got water coming up, and we can use it as much as we want till it goes away. So we will jump back over here, get the remainder of this into the greenhouse. Oh, we can't turn the tractor off. There we go. Get it emptied. I do want to check and just see how much we have in the greenhouse. 24,000 liters, yeah, and we're only running at 50%, so I don't really think we're going to be using that much water. Good to get some use out of the John Deere. Okay, so now turning that off. Let's go grab our truck, and we will get all of our bales There we go. Should be good to go. Yep, got it. Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen when we drive the truck on the field, because we don't have any stubble destruction from the hand tools, but I suspect the truck will do some work to get some of that stubble. In an effort to not drive any absolutely more than we have to, let's do a little bit of hand moving of bales when we can. And I have to be super careful over here not to drive on our grass field. That would be a second time making that mistake. Okay, got all those. Let's try to drive back where we were. I think we can swing right up here. Grab all of these like this. And then we have just a few more here. And I'm going to go grab that last one by hand. Try to keep our truck off the field as much as possible. So, get back over here in the meadow. And 24,500 liters of straw. It's a nice haul. I don't know what we're going to do with it. We don't need it for animal bedding right now. We don't have any cows. So we'll just put it in here. Maybe we end up selling it. Maybe we keep it for TMR and bedding. Maybe we do end up doing some cows later. I was challenged by one of our channel supporters to grab some animals with using the realistic livestock mod that are not of good quality and then try to breed them up into, high-end animal stock. So maybe, just maybe, we grab some goats or some cows and try that. We've already started the sheep and the chickens on the high end, so we want to keep them there. We don't want to intermix once we've started. We do have another 12,000 liters of silage. That little bunker is working really, really well. So, yeah, maybe we'll do an experiment with some of the animals and just see if we can start with some of the worst animals at the store and get them bred up and sort of through selective genetics, get them to a better spot where we have high-end animals by the end of the playthrough. But for today, guys, I think that's going to be about it. Really interesting day with the realistic weather mod. Turns out we can't fret too much about the moisture. At some point, you just got to do it. It seems to me like the moisture, the bigger problem is crop withering. And if you were to not have enough moisture and lose crop, then obviously you'd be losing crop at harvest. But it does seem like the moisture itself, when it comes to actual crop yield, is more of how much bonus are you getting, not how much are you losing. I imagine that scale does eventually turn with if you get too little or too much towards the extreme ends of the spectrum. But for right now, I think we just harvest when we harvest. If we need to irrigate to keep the moisture up so we don't have withering, I think that's the critical piece. But with as detailed as the maps are on each of the fields, our grass field, for example, we have really high moisture and really low moisture. There's no way to get both ends of the spectrum to come together, get the high moisture dried out and get the low moisture areas, irrigated without having just a huge problem trying to, we'd be adding water when we didn't want to. So, long way of saying, I think we make sure we have enough minimum moisture and we just harvest when we need to harvest. The hand push harvester was super cool. Great process. Loved the fact that it left a straw swath as well that we were able to windrow and turn into some bales. We started the episode with 4 new lambs, which is really exciting for the farm. And we even added a silo to hold some of our crops and our products. So very, very productive second day of September. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to drop a like and turn on notifications for more videos. Channel memberships are available if you'd like to support my content further, and members do get early access to upcoming videos. That's all for today, but I'll see you in the next one.